And we are live. So if we just get on the comments. So you can't see my comments, obviously.
I can see your comments.
Oh, you can see the comments. So obviously I'll highlight the ones for you to answer, yeah? Because sometimes we can get infiltrated.
Oh,
as I'm sure you've learned from your
I have, yeah.
We've all sorts of strange ones on, didn't you?
We've been visited by the political beings.
6 people are on, mate. Sorry, so just give it a second. Give it a minute or two. Couldn't play a tune while we wait, could you?
Do you know what? It's not got speakers in it. It's a beautiful, expensive keyboard, but no speakers. And the amount of times it's now up there with comments about my hair and my clothes. Play us a tune is now up there.
Here we go. I was a little bit embarrassed because I've asked you on as a guest, and I was like, whoa, no one, 6 people. Okay, we're up to 38. Usually during the match day, we get sort of around 300 figure, I believe. But obviously, I don't think we'll hit that today with the dizzy heights of me and you just talking about Millwall instead of an actual game. But should we get going? We'll give it another couple of minutes. Let's do it. All right, let's do it. Good evening. Hello, Steve Lees. Good evening. So, welcome to a live stream. We did one of these shows. Welcome to Benjamin Bloom, our guest from the brilliant Championship channel. Benjamin, what is your channel called, Ben?
Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door.
Nice and easy. You used to cover originally used to be Ipswich, and then you sort of branched out. You was doing a few Millwall games. People were saying you were a secret Millwall fan.
Everyone says I'm a secret fan of their team when I say something nice, and then when they lose and I tell the truth and say something mean, then I'm all of a sudden biased against them. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, let's just fly straight into the questions because, as I say, I've said it before to my fan base watching, and I know a lot of my fan base appreciate what you do as well. I know a lot about Millwall, okay? Other clubs, other players, I'm not so much. So I will throw you straight into the deep end if you don't mind. I know you can do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
With what do you think of? Wasn't the way we said we was going to do it, but there you go. That's what happens during my live streams. It's all over the place. Chazo Luke says, what do you think about Alan Campbell?
Alan Campbell? Who is Alan Campbell?
Who is Alan Campbell? Is he the midfielder from Scotland or someone? I don't know.
Over my head, Alan Campbell. Are these transfer links? Comment of the day, Kerry. There you go.
We should have started with that. I will say, by the way, before we kick off, okay, so what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of a show first off. Let's do it that way around. And then once we've done that, we'll go into questions for Ben. You don't want to ask me questions. You do enough questions of me all the time. So before we do start, we'll just mention that Super Chats are open. And if you want to donate to the channel, I have agreed tonight to split every penny, 50-50.
I thought we agreed 51-49, Dan.
So you could be the major shareholder. Yeah, Super Chats are open. If you do want to donate to the channel and in turn Ben's channel, so second time he's coming on, I'm sure if we give him a nice few quid, he'll be trying to get back on tomorrow night. So Benjamin,
Billy has said Alan Campbell plays for Motherwell. First I've heard. I try and cover all the done deals, but I tend to not pay attention to the links until I see the guy holding the shirt there in the picture. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
True, mate. Yeah, otherwise you'll be doing a lot more videos than you already do. I don't think you've got enough time in the day to do any more, have you?
Tell me about it, yeah.
Constantly pumping in videos out, putting me to shame. Right, so let's talk about Millwall. We did a pre-season review, as we said. We both had high expectations. The season started well. And then since October, a 2-0 win at Preston, it's just gone very quickly south. 1 win in 13. Massive problems. I want Gary Rowett out. I've made no secret about that. I put a poll out on Twitter. It's about, I think it was 66 wanted him in and 34 wanted him out. So I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that would have been a 90-10 in his favour to stay. What do you think is going wrong for us?
I think with pragmatic managers, you have this thing when it's going well, when no one can score past you and you're drawing your away games and you're winning your home games. And it's always on a bit of a knife edge when Rowett's teams have never scored many goals wherever he's been at. And all of a sudden, you go from wins and draws to draws and defeats. And obviously, that 10-game streak you're talking about after the Preston, I think there's like 5 or 6 draws in a row. I was just looking at the numbers before we came on. And if you actually take the 2 best stats, Dan, goals against, Millwall are 6th best in the league. And fewest defeats, Millwall are 6th best in the league. So you can see the you know what the plan is with Rowett. It's to be hard to beat and not concede many goals. But the issue now is they're not scoring. And you have to admit, Dan, there was a bit of a warning last season because it wasn't sustainable. Jed Wallace banging in worldies every week. Like you won a lot of games with Wallace scoring from outside the box and things of that nature, didn't you? And Białkowski making 2 or 3 decent saves, and all it takes is a little move on that. But we thought he'd, with all the options there, and Zahor as well, we were excited about. You'd have thought that it had the goals in there, but it feels like, don't know what you think, it's just a bit bloated. I just wrote it down for the 3 positions: Wallace, Scalak, Bennett, Parrott, Bradshaw, Zahor, Smith, Bodvarsson, and you're kind of like going, who's the obvious? What you want is 3 who are the obvious 3, and then 3 good reserves, don't you? And we've had every permutation of that. So the obvious thing is the goals, and once they dry up in a pragmatic team, then the drawing and winning runs turn into drawing and losing runs, if that's not too simple.
Yeah, I think, he has tried a lot of different things. He has experimented, especially lately, and that's when we ended up with this random Bodvarsson Bradshaw combination coming back to the fold, because he has run out of ideas. It has run dry. But I know what you're saying. We've got a lot of players that someone said a lot of dead wood. I've just seen someone say in the comments, it's the age of our players. We are a little bit of an aging squad now. You've got Matt Smith, Alex Pearce, Sean Williams, all sort of coming to the end. However, these were the players that Rowett had doing it last season. He took over from Harris. And I've said this before in other shows. Sometimes it can take, as we've seen with Man United, as we've seen with other clubs. Who else was I thinking? Chelsea. So you have a manager. The manager goes Arsenal, and it takes you 3 or 4 managers to find the right manager again. We was very lucky in the sense that Harris left it before he really, I thought it was done under him, but he left. He didn't really need to, from a results on where he was in the league, he didn't need to at that point. But I feel he did the right thing, left it when he did, so it didn't drop level any further. And Rowett seemed to pick up where he left off. Got him playing this new formation, this 3 at the back with the 2-2-2-1 up top. And they look like a different team, and teams couldn't deal with us. But I think now teams have sussed us out. And as you said, he's very defensive, isn't he?
But tell me, so what's the best permutation then? Because obviously it's Wallace and 2 others. And we thought it would be Wallace and Bennett, and then just find... I thought it was going to be Wallace, Bennett and Zahor. I thought it was obvious, but that just hasn't turned out to be the case. Which 2 do you put with Wallace then?
In my opinion, it's definitely Zahor. Okay, and that's the one area I can sympathise with Gary Rowett, is that he got Parrott in. It could be a little bit of false hope there with Parrott, judging what I've seen. For instance, he's come back from injury, but he got injured. And then we got Zahor in, and then he played 1 game, scored against Preston. He got injured, but you could see that he just had a presence there. He's very Collymore-esque, turning, rolling defenders and running the heart of defences, which I say we don't do enough. Big unit. You could see the players, you could just sense that they wanted to play off him, they wanted to bounce off him. So I do sympathise with Rowett in that case. Again, this Jed Wallace thing, I mean, obviously you're an outsider looking in, and a lot of our fans say the same. Well, Jed Wallace has to play because, he's our go-to guy. He scores bangers, he scores free kicks, he scores a few penalties as well. But I've got to be honest, he's not. His levels have dropped so far that he's very erratic during games. His decision-making isn't great. He seems to last 1 or 2 games to half given up, but you do have to have him on the pitch in case that happens. So it leaves the left-hand side. If you're going to play, no number 10, you're going to play the 3 up top. I like Conor Mahoney. I
didn't mention him, did
I? Yeah, he's currently injured. I like Mason Bennett. And I think that they're, as well with Jed, they're a little bit, if they're going to turn up. And I think we've got too many of those players going forward, if they're going to turn up sort of players, you know what I mean? Bennett's talented, but again, injury prone. If he's not injured, he can't get through 90 minutes, which I don't have a problem with as long as he plays and does the business in 70. But I think he's wasted out wide. And it's just whether you're going to get the work rate out of Mahoney. So, difficult one. But so we've got so many players there. We've got Bodvarsson, you've got Bradshaw, you've got, who else you got in there? Wide players and players that can play in that position.
Scalak, Parrott.
Scalak. You've also got Parrott. You've got Scalak. You've also got this Tyler Berry coming through. And the big strange one for me is Matt Smith, who I don't really rate as a footballer, but scores goals in this division, and he's completely out of the scene now.
You need a lot of dynamic movement around Smith, though, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Because he'll win stuff in the air, but you need legs around him, don't you?
To play in this system that Rowett wants to play, it will have to be Zohor, probably with Jed and Bennett if he turns up, or Mahoney. But I don't know, mate. Just lots and lots of players that are nearly men, shall I say?
Yeah, and like I said, you're looking for that one who's right. I'm the starting striker each week. Sometimes you find in football that you happen upon the solution. Do you know what I mean? Someone gets injured, you end up throwing something against the wall and it sticks. But you'd prefer not to be half the way through a season looking for the thing that's going to stick, because we thought after the 8th place that that was it. Scott Malone and Zohor and Woods coming back, and you thought, okay, can you beat 8th? And it's just gone the other way, hasn't it?
It has, mate. It has, and I just feel, you say like the goals have dried up, which they have, and usually, you see these stats. Bulkowski's had this many clean sheets. The problem is now we're conceding them at the other end as well. Leaky 3 goals at home to Huddersfield, 3 goals away in 20 minutes away at Middlesbrough. Last weekend, 2-0 down in 20 minutes against Coventry. I maintain it could have been 10-0 in that game. They scored 2. Bulkowski made 5 saves out of the woodwork 3 times. So we've got big problems at the back now, as well as going forward.
Yeah. Do you buy into the narrative that Millwall are the most affected by no fans as well, with the one home win?
I do, because one home win all season, and you've been to the Den many times, and you, as you say, you love the atmosphere, and that has been obviously taken away from us. But we need to, especially in the current climate, we're back in lockdown. I can't see it changing, so we've got to lose that mentality and sort out on the pitch. We can't keep using that as an excuse. No,
true. And it's the same for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's had a limited transfer window. I want to talk about the transfer window. Now, I'm one of these. I maybe, if you need to shoot me down a peg or two, do you think, first off, where we are as a team, if we finish 17th, I'm happy with that. But I don't think the way we're going, we are going to finish 17th. I think if things carry on and Rowett doesn't lose his job, especially with the fixtures we've got coming up, I think we'll be bottom by February. Now, do you think, where I personally and other fans that agree, we're expecting too much as a fan base?
Problem is the bar's been set so high. We said this at the start of the season, didn't we? Because in terms of budgets and spend and things of that nature, it's not an 8th place club. They've been outperforming it, but I don't think it's a 17th place team either. I think they should be higher. I mean, let's be totally honest. No one's going to finish. No offence, going to finish below Wycombe and Rotherham. They're very much likely to be the bottom 2. The issue is, of course, that Derby, Forest, and even Sheffield Wednesday, you do think are going to trend upwards as we go, and everyone's now looking at QPR, Birmingham, and then Millwall as they would be the ones who would, if the current trends keep going in the same direction, they would be the ones that would then make up the rest of the bottom 6 with some of the promoted teams. And of course, you've lost to Coventry this past week, and I think they're 7 above the relegation zone. So I don't see it as drastically as you do, but I will obviously say I don't watch every week, and you do. But then I'll also say you're way more emotionally invested than I am. So I might be able to see some of the opponents a bit clearer than you might be able to. But no. So where would you like strengthened then in the window, if there is money? Funnily
enough, we say about we're not scoring the goals. Who's the front 3, and also we're conceding too many. I don't actually blame either of those positions for the problems. I think the position that for those problems is smack bang in the middle, is in midfield, because we've got too many holding midfield players. Ryan Woods, I don't know how familiar you are with him, but he's been brought in by Gary Rowett on loan on a lot of wages from Stoke. And mate, he just won't cross the halfway line. He just will not cross the halfway line. He plays little 1-2s in and around the edge of the box. And last week, Coventry come through, and I always say we've got midfielders that don't get forward enough, and a lot of fans will agree with that. However, they wasn't protecting the back 3 in any way, shape, or form. When Coventry came to town, as I said, all the chances and goals they scored, they didn't score a goal in 4. So I think we desperately need, we nearly got Jason Malumbi yesterday, or we bid for Jason Malumbi. We talked about it off air before, didn't we? Is there players in the division that you think could do us a job? I know you got a wider
It's really tricky. Thank you, Colin. It's really tricky. First of all, on Woods, and don't all shoot me down because I know it's not working with Woods at Millwall, but he looked brilliant for Brentford about four seasons ago. But he played in a team. I remember them playing like a 4-1-4-1, and he was sat on his own as the playmaker, and basically he could play lots of little balls around the corner. His fullbacks were always next to him. You know, he always had another 2 centre midfielders in front of him as well. He looked a really good player, but obviously it hasn't worked at Stoke, and doesn't appear to be working at Millwall, does it? But it's interesting because it just feels odd because the system was the same last season, and Woods was in the team. I mean, you mentioned a number 10 earlier. I wonder whether they need to do something like drop. So you play one up top still, and you drop a third central midfielder in, and then play a number 10 off the strike. What's happened to Ben Thompson?
We have been doing that because we didn't have any joy with the 3 at the back at home. So we sort of go to a flat back 4, and then he had 2 central midfielders and a 10, so sort of 3 in behind a 1, you know.
Yeah.
Ben Thompson is obviously just not rated by Gary Rowett. He cannot get a look in for love nor money.
Interesting.
And that was, he came back from Pompey, and a lot of our fans say he's not up to this standard of football, but he came back from Portsmouth on loan, completely different player, rejuvenated under Kenny Jackett. He was more of a 10. As I said, I don't think he's a brilliant player, but he just gets stuck in. And on Saturday, that's just what he needed against Coventry. Someone just to say, no, hang on, we're not having this, and just fly him with a tackle. And no one was prepared to do that. But at the same time, he just left Thompson and Leonard on the bench for the entire game. I get a feeling, you say Rowett's very defensive, and he sets up not to lose, but he doesn't do that in a very aggressive way. He tries to do that to ball players. If you want to set up not to lose, you need aggressive, tough tackling players in there, I feel.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It feels passive sometimes, doesn't it? That you're waiting for the opponents to sort of come onto you. But it does look like if they're punting 2 million for Mollenby, then it does look like that they're backing him. And also, if they're giving him a club record fee, that sounds like a vote of confidence to me as well. You don't give someone a club record transfer fee and then fire him a week after the window closes, does you?
No. Well, last week as well, on that subject, we brought in a new head of recruitment as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Who is this guy?
I don't know who he is, but our old head of recruitment went to Stoke, I believe. Okay. So we've got a new guy in, and obviously that's under Gary Rowett's appointment. So it does appear that they're backing him. And people say, he's not going to sack Rowett because it will cost us too much money. But my argument will be, it will cost us more if we get relegated.
Yeah, honestly, I don't want to sound blasé. I just don't see you getting relegated. That's just where I am with it at the moment. I mean, if you again, you're not going to finish below Wycombe or Rotherham, so there's only the one place there. And I mean, look at QPR going into this window. If they sell Bright Samuel or Ilias Chair, then they look in far worse shape. And you know that Karanka at Birmingham is only ever 2 minutes away from a meltdown and problems there as well, don't you? And it will be tough for Coventry, just purely because they're an ex League One team, aren't they? So.
What do you think? What do you think of them? Have you seen a lot of them, Coventry? Because they honestly look like fucking Brazil.
Coventry, obviously, I did follow League One as much as I could follow in Ipswich last season. And Coventry and Oxford, maybe Fleetwood a little bit, were the only ones that tried to football their way out. And Coventry were comfortably the best footballing side in League One last season. And it just feels like that they just leave that pattern of play as it is. They'll probably pick up enough points if they avoid they avoid injuries. He's got good wing backs. You probably felt that during the game, comparing your wing backs to it would have been Darbo and Giles, and you got McCallum as well.
I say I rarely take note of other teams' players. That Darbo absolutely took my voice. What a player! And the annoying thing is, when I looked, he came through the ranks at Chelsea, so he may have been a bit out of our reach. He's from Southwark. He's from right next to town.
Typical.
No, but yeah. Sorry, I wasn't being rude. I was trying to look at the league table. I was going to put it up on the screen, but it's been out of my reach at the minute. So, but yeah, maybe I'm worrying too much. I don't know. As I said, if the season finished today, I'd be happy because I can just see us going lower and lower. If we started poor, got a little bit improved, and finished 17th, or we just I'm happy with that. But I can honestly see, and I don't think I'm being over dramatic. I just feel like something's changed under Rowett. And I don't know what it is, because I don't think the players have stopped playing. I just think this formation that he used to like and we had success with, we are now not having success with. And I don't think he knows how to change it. I don't think he's got any ideas. What do you think of him as a manager as a whole? Because a lot of our fans, one of my mates said on the video the other day, why does everyone think we're so blessed to have him? Is he the best we can hope for as a manager?
Well, it looked like a perfect fit when you finished eighth. It looked like it was working, and it also looked like a good fit for him as well after Stoke and that disaster there. I mean, I remember watching his Derby teams, and again they were a little bit passive. Obviously, came up against a really good Fulham team in the playoffs, but that was pure 4-2-3-1 and stiff old team shape. So he can do different shapes, but roughly what the philosophy's likely to be, don't you, with Rowett? But it's I mean, you throw out all the usual names, but I always say this to you, it's just Millwall's like unique, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not just about getting a manager that looks good on paper. They have to kind of get it, don't they, for it to work. Do you know what I mean? And you can go into other clubs and whatever, but you have to make sense of what Millwall is. And I thought Rowett had done that. And like I say, perhaps a bit more optimistically, if you look at the it's only a small. I know this is stating the bleeding obvious. It's only a small tweak away from, with a pragmatic team, from a undefeated streak, isn't it? A winless streak becomes an undefeated streak fairly quickly if you are the sixth best defensive team in the division, and you can start scoring some goals. But yeah, I was looking at the scorers. Wallace has got 6, Bradshaw 3, and then 8 players on 1 goal. So Wallace
got 6. I'd be very interested to know how many of them are from open play. I'm not slating him because he scored 6 regardless. I don't know, a couple of very good free kicks in there I can remember, but I'm not sure how many he's got exactly from open play.
No. Well, that's a problem then. Someone will probably tell us in the chat, weren't they, who your top scorer is from open play, because it might be Bradshaw with 3 then by the sounds of it, which is kind of the problem then is staring you in the face, isn't it? I've heard, to Adam's comment down there, I've heard about, and Alex as well, about the Callum Davidson. I'm just
about to highlight that on the screen.
Yeah, I've heard this theory posited as well.
Where'd you stand on that?
Well, that's where, as an outsider, I'd know less than you Millwall fans about, you kind of tune into the manager and the other staff. But it's something that's come up in my feeds a little bit. Oh, look out for this guy leaving. He was making it. Where did he go?
St Johnstone.
Is he the boss there or the assistant?
St Johnstone. And what he did was, I should have actually checked this. I know I've been getting on, but they took one of our young right backs, Danny McNamara, and he's really shone there. And we've actually now called him back.
And James Brown's gone, hasn't he?
And sent James Brown, who was nearly 2 years in front of Danny McNamara. So yeah, Danny McNamara's now. We've now recorded him to give Marlon Romeo some competition. Who is, again, what would be? I won't say anything. What would be your perception of Marlon Romeo from an outside?
I can't give an honest one because I get feedback from Millwall fans about him about him every week. He appears to be a player that has all the jigsaw pieces but hasn't quite put them together yet. If that would not be too unfair.
Yeah, spot on. Again, I feel like that's why I asked your opinion, because I feel like I'm slating the same players, and on paper, a lot of outsiders looking in go, oh yeah, but you've got Jed Wallace and you've got Marlon Romeo, and they don't actually see these players how they're performing every week. They're not solely responsible for our lack of ability to win football matches and get up the table. But yeah, he's another one that frustrates me. Lawrence Downs, nice comment there. Evening, chaps. Great to see you two linking up again.
Thanks, Lawrence. We're like Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, aren't we?
Which one am I? I'm the Korean one, aren't
I? hey, you can't lose being either of those guys, can you?
No, true. I will mention just again, the super chats are open, and Ben and I are splitting those profits tonight in this lockdown. Oh yeah, we won't leave. We'll leave that one away. Marlon Romeo. Ryan Double says Romeo flatters to deceive at times. Where do you think we can change it, Ben, in your opinion, to get back on the right track? Do you think Romeo needs to go?
No, I always think that's the drastic last resort. It's hard to say, because we've kind of you've kind of outlined about 3 different positions that aren't sort of functioning together. You're saying the central midfield isn't really working. The wing backs aren't then dovetailing with the central midfield, and the strikers aren't scoring. So that basically leaves you with back 3 and a keeper, doesn't it? That are adequately functioning. So it feels like the sort of thing that's not one fix. I'll bring this left back in and everything's going to work. It feels like it is pattern of play, and it is everything working together. And you would normally say, well, you go back to basics, don't you? And maybe it. And this is what we're following Chris Wilder and Sheffield United first year in the Premier League. Okay, they're doing terribly now, but he essentially just blocked up the central midfield. He put his number 10 in and played a midfield 3. And perhaps it needs to be like we suggested, a Bradshaw or someone up top with Wallace 3 behind him, and then a midfield 3, whoever it is, Williams, Leonard, Woods, etc. And I know you guys are struggling with Woods, but sometimes you have to give the player the tools to not fall flat on his face, and an extra center. I know I'll get comments come in and say, well, why does someone need a babysitter? But if it disproportionately then improves the team, then it's worth doing, isn't it?
Well, the weird thing is he can do it. Okay, so on Saturday when Troy Parrott comes on, he decides to push further up the pitch and puts through 2 brilliant killer balls, deft balls for Troy Parrott. So he can do it. I don't know whether he's playing under Rowett's instruction, he's just hovering around in the back 3, or I don't know what he's doing, whether he's doing what he wants. But at the minute,
Dan, that is a very Rowett thing, though, is it? Don't go off position. Don't play off the cuff. Jed Wallace is the only one that plays off the cuff in that team, isn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it can become predictable sort of fairly quickly, can't it? The issue I've got is, if you want to freshen up that attack, who do you sell Bodvarsson or a Smith to? Who's going to take him to raise you some? Now, do you know what I mean? We are very limited, and that's what another question I was going to ask you. What can we really hope for? Let's say we've got really no one to sell. We haven't got a lot of money to buy. And for the fans that don't want Rowett out, they're saying, yeah, but he's going to get money to spend in his transfer window. He's not going to bring in. How many players is he going to get to bring in? I think he said he wants 3, and he's not going to bring any more than that and change the whole dynamics of a team, is he? I believe one of those players he wants to keep is Zahor. How many loans is there in already?
Loans: Parrott,
Zahor,
Scott Malone, Ryan Woods.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, well, this is the thing as well. Looking back now, Scott Malone's been not so good recently. I thought he started the season well. But when you look at what we've actually got, knowing we've got no money to spend, now, I did hear a rumour, I don't know nothing is fact, but Ryan Woods goes for 6.5 million to Stoke from Brentford. He's going to be on about 30 bags a week. That's a lot of money. And then on top of that, you book Scott Malone, when we already had players in that position. Then you bring in Scott Malone, who's a left-sided player. Mason Bennett's another loanee. I don't know if I mentioned that one. Oh, no, he's not. He's permanent, mate, basically.
No, he's permanent this season, yeah.
Scott Malone, okay, he started the season well, but looking now at what we've got in that position, we've got a young player coming through called Junior Tienza. who's not ready yet, but he definitely needs to be around it and gain experience just being around the first team. Murray Wallace, who's usually good, but had his pants pulled down Saturday. Shane Ferguson. So did we really need to spend that wages on Malone? We're a club that's on such a shoestring. Buying players may not be, affecting it that much, but when you loan players on big wages, it still comes out the pot.
Is he not one of Rowett's guys from Derby? Did Rowett have him at Derby?
Yeah.
So I think he's doing... Ron Atkinson used to do that, didn't he? Just used to sign Carlton Palmer at every club.
Paddy Kenny as well for Warnock.
Warnock, yeah. Bringing the same players every time. What about one of these Arsenal, Balogun or Nketiah? It's a real quick striker. Obviously, cost you a bit in wages, but I suppose the idea of Parrott was that, wasn't it?
It was, but he's got no pace whatsoever, Parrott. No pace.
Yeah.
No, he's got no pace. It's really weird. I said that twice as well, so this is a little pun on Parrott. But this is what's something we definitely lack in the team is pace. We badly lack pace. We don't.
Andy Wallace, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't attack with any. No one gives and goes. No one gives and gets beyond and tries to break lines, and it's just very pass the ball, stop, and we keep getting to the edge of other team's box, and then we do 3 or 4 passes, and we're back with the goalkeeper. It just doesn't seem to me Rowett to have any ideas. It just seems to have gone very stale, and that's why I think he should go. Who do you think would be? Who do you think? Just looking at that comment from Simon, I won't put it on the screen. Oh,
right. Block Simon now. Yeah. Get out, Simon. I have a thing on my channel called the fake news sin bin. Simon would have gone in the fake news sin bin for that big business. Go play in traffic, Simon.
I saw the second one, mate, so I didn't see the first one.
The first 5, yeah.
Oh, was there? Sorry, some weirdos out there. Who do you think we could literally will be a good fit for us as a manager? Rowett did go. I mean, the Cowleys is a name that gets thrown out there. Obviously, Tony's been sacked. What do you think of these Cowley brothers?
I like them, and I was there when they first came to national attention because Lincoln beat Ipswich in the FA Cup. So yeah, they're they would fit Millwall actually because they're quite sort of up and at 'em, and what's the word, in your face. So possibly could go. I don't think they're from. I think they're from Essex, aren't they? So they're not from miles and miles away. And
actually went to one. I think they're actually old school friends of Neil Harris. Funny enough,
really. One of the manager, Danny, is permanently on Sky pimping himself for a job as well, isn't he? So no, it's been a weird one though, because at the start of the season, because Bristol City and Bournemouth essentially just promoted their assistant managers, we didn't get that merry-go-round of all the old expected managers. I expected Paul Cook to be in a job. I expected Danny Cowley, Pulis Houghton got them in the end, didn't they? But I think it slowed everything down. Those 2 big jobs, but Bournemouth with the parachute money and Bristol City less so, but still decent job, Bristol City, isn't it? It didn't quite start off. So you realise that Mick McCarthy got sacked from Apoel Nicosia today, one of our there you go, damn Dave.
Managed, obviously, for those who don't know, Ben is an Ipswich fan, and obviously Millwall had Mick McCarthy a long time ago, so we both felt the effects of Big Mick before.
Yeah, Big Mick will leave you in a heap, won't he? after he's left. But no, I can't really see. So I suppose Cook and Cowley might be the ones, but it doesn't sit overly easy with me. I think unless you guys are in a serious threat of relegation or you can see it coming, then I think a change would be smart. But I don't see what it gains at the moment.
That question there, Ben, the Cowleys have never failed any job. So obviously they was in non-league, they went to Lincoln, they did well, then they took them up 2 divisions, I think, from non-league to League 2 to League 1, then went to Huddersfield. Do you know, I don't actually know the ins and outs of what happened to Huddersfield, but I wasn't doing a bad job, as Chris said.
Yeah, so Huddersfield just stank, didn't it? And it just needed stabilising because they'd just lost every week in the Premier League, and then they came down, and the parachute money essentially went to the old owner. So they had no money and just need stabilising. And to be fair, when they swapped Cowley's out for Corberon, I was like, that's going to end in tears. But Huddersfield have looked pretty good this season, middle of the table, playing some good football. So it's worked out. I think they're Championship level. I mean, they did do really well at Lincoln, but they did get backed there. Lincoln were like a big club down there, and they were drawing big attendances, and had a bit of spend there, and they're very ambitious guys though. So someone's just said Chris Wilder. If Chris Wilder gets sacked from Sheffield United, get him in. Yeah, get him in, for goodness sake. But yeah, like you say, he might be a little bit out of the grade.
Sorry, someone's pretending to be you in the chat. That happens to me sometimes.
I don't know why anyone would pretend to be me. Maybe he's got terrible hair and he'd like to just be someone with good hair for once, Dan. I'll probably meet him at Millwall and he'll lay one on me, won't he?
I was doing it the other week, and some guy was saying, "Dad, it's me. Dad, it's me." Like, mate, son, when I said to my son afterwards, "What are you doing?" He was like, "It weren't me." Some strange ones out here, mate. Let's get back to another name that keeps cropping up, hasn't it, in the comments tonight? It's a name I'll keep hearing: Paul Cook.
Yeah, I like Paul Cook, and if you look at it was Pompey, wasn't it? He took up, and he took Wigan up as well, and just such a shame because that Wigan team was superb at the end of last season. Again, I don't think it's the most scientific, free-flowing football, but you guys have never asked for that at Millwall, have you? You just want a stiff tackle and 11 honest players, don't you?
A little bit of, I like to call it kick, bollock and bite. Is what
There you go.
Another name. Right, so this is someone else who said this, and we'll get John's comment on.
No, that's never going to happen, is it?
I'll try and say this guy's surname, because I always try and say it. I don't think I'll get it right.
Degouveia?
Oh, I think I do.
Degouveia.
Degovoir.
Oh, nice. Don't feed wild potatoes, yeah?
Eddie Howe, Dan and Ben.
Eddie Howe wants Premier League, doesn't he?
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. People saying we couldn't get Eddie Howe. He got the job. So I did research this one a little bit. He did obviously play the majority of all of his career for Bournemouth as a player. Then got the job as manager. Then left and went to Burnley for a year. Didn't work out for him. Come back, and he's only ever managed them. Now,
yeah.
Do you think he's too big for us? Because that's what a lot of people seem to be saying.
I think he thinks he's too big for you. And he's doing that clever thing that managers do where they stay out of the game for a while, and every day they stay out, the myth goes up a little bit, and they get a little bit better in people's heads because they haven't been. Gordon Strachan was always the master of that. He'd get fired from somewhere, go away for like 9 months, and then get hired again. And you're like, hang on a minute, you got sacked from your last job. But I always remember it used to be Eddie Howe always used to get linked with replacing Wenger at Arsenal, didn't he?
Yeah. Look at this guy. MFC 85. Pulis is a match made in heaven. A lot of people liken Rowett to Pulis. How many games did he last at Sheffield Wednesday? For the Millwall fans saying, why should Rowett get sacked? 1 win in 13 for us, 1 win at home all season. Pulis got 1 win he only lasted 10 games and he was sacked. Yeah,
but your chairman's not mental, Dan.
True. He's a very good chairman. I'll say that. For all the negative stuff I say, we have got a very, very good chairman.
You compare him to Mr. Chansiri at Sheffield Wednesday, and you wouldn't swap him, believe you me.
Do you think Pulis could do a job, or do you think it'd be more of that? You've seen that meme where 2 Spider-Men dressed and pointing at each other.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It'd be a little bit of a scenario with that and Rowett.
I don't know. It's so hard with some of these guys, because if you get Pulis at Palace in the Premier League was manager of the year. He was awesome. And if you get that guy, or the guy, at Stoke who was, I suppose the thing you would say is what he did at Stoke was kind of very Millwall, wasn't it? It was very, we don't care who you are. We're just going to attack you. And even if it means hurling long throws into the box, we'll do it anyway.
So just to recap a little bit, you don't think we're going to go down. You think I'm being got antsy with pants too much, too invested.
Well, you tell me I'm sorry, Dan. I just don't see it. You're not going to finish below Wickham or Rotherham. There's one place there. Those two have got a real tough task.
There, mate.
Sorry?
I said there's still one place up for grabs there at the end.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Also, you said you think the Cowleys would be quite a good fit for us.
I think so. I wouldn't be. Again, I go with the. We saw Bristol City do it last year. We've seen Norwich do it as well. Okay, up the other end of the table with Alex Neil and Lee Johnson at Bristol City. I think you give a manager the season essentially, but if I don't know 10 games to go, you're 3 points above relegation, you act. Or if at the other end you're challenging for promotion or what have you, and you're not going to make it, then you act. I think he should have some credit in the bank from last year. I know I always say that, and people disagree with me. And I know football is ruthless, but it's we were sat here and there was a lot of people predicting Millwall to go, up one place into 7th and then up 2 places is the playoffs for God's sake. And now we're talking about. I know things move quickly, but I don't know. I just don't feel that's ideal. And you talked about Berylson. I don't think he wants that type of chaotic turnover at his club as well, does he?
No. We do things very slowly, very softly, and that has worked for us down the years.
And surely, Dan, that 2 million bid for Mollenby is the most pertinent, silent vote of confidence he could have given him, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we did speak about this off camera because I said, look, fair play, at least he's gone in. I mean, Mollenby, yes, I'd take him, but we need something to protect the back four and a little bit of tenacity in midfield at the minute. But on top of that, we need more going forward. Now, if we'd have got Mollenby, brings back Danny McNamara to give Romeo competition, extends Zoho's loan, that's all good, but we still need more to help create in midfield. However, a few people said, and I didn't really consider it until a few people said what they said, did we really make an actual realistic bid for Mollenby? Or was it one just, like we did with Jamal Lowe, like we did with Kiefer Moore, like we done with Ben Marshall? Oh, well, we did bid. We did bid a record amount. But is that record amount anywhere near their actual valuation of a player? Or are they just trying to keep the fans happy with that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, the likes of you and I will probably never know, will we? But you would hope that they're competitive bids. But also, we all know how frugal. They're not going to overpay on wages. All the fees are always undisclosed. The contract lengths we never know either, do we? So
no, never at Millwall. It's always undisclosed fees and never say a contract time.
Exactly. And then you do have to entertain the possibility that one of the 2 saleable assets, Cooper or Wallace, that there comes a point where the team actually benefits from the chunk of money you'd get for them. And I always give the Ipswich example. We had Kieran Dyer, who was a brilliant player. We couldn't get up with him, so we had to sell him, but we bought 4 players and got promoted the next season. So we were better without him, even though he was a brilliant player. And sometimes you as much as you might like Jake Cooper or Jed Wallace, sometimes your sale is actually the way forward. And you've got to cash in at the right time as well.
No, exactly. Well, as we said, we haven't really got anyone like that other than Jake Cooper, who would be worth a lot of money.
Has anyone ever scored a hat-trick of own goals before, though? Because that would have been pretty. I remember Carragher getting 2, didn't he?
Oh, mate, yeah, Carragher was quite a specialist. But Jake Cooper, it was just a crazy day for Jake Cooper on Saturday. So I'm not saying clubs want to buy him on his performance Saturday, but previous to that, here's a comment. This isn't the actual Steve Morrison, but we'll get onto this as well because getting back to the management thing, I did want Gareth Ainsworth a couple of years ago because I think he's got longevity as a manager. He's got a lot of loyalty as a manager, and that's the issue I had with Rowett was his longevity in any job he has, whether it was his fault or he left or he got sacked. So I did want Gareth Ainsworth, and I think, I still wouldn't mind him. They're massively overachieving with Wickham, aren't they? They shouldn't be where they are really in the Championship. It's no wonder they're getting hammered every week. There's a League Two side, and he's done very, very well for him. So he was someone I would be interested in. What do you think of Ainsworth as a manager in general? How would he be a fit for Millwall? Not that it's going to happen because he's at Wycombe, but
Well, he suffers from the same thing as me, doesn't he? Where people just talk about his hair all the time rather than anything useful that he does. But is that a step up from Rowett, who has been? He's one of those guys now in this, along with Mr. Gary Monk, who's just managed like 5 teams in this division, and just knows it. It's not the most exciting, but it is a safe pair of hands, isn't it?
Yeah, Nigel Pearson's a name that keeps popping up there in the comments as well.
Isn't he struggling badly from long COVID though? I heard he's not shaking it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could be wrong about that. So it could be
second to that, mate. Talking, where do you stand? See, that comment was from a guy who makes out he's Steve Morrison, but a lot of people are actually saying as well, Steve Morrison for the job. Cardiff under 23s manager. Of course, we know it can work before, like it did with Neil Harris, learning on the job. Do you think that'd be a good fit for Millwall, not an ex-player to return?
Do you know what? When I used to watch Steve Morrison for you guys in like 17, 18, I used to watch and think that guy's the manager on the pitch. He was moving people around and running out to take a quick throw in and positioning the left back himself. And you hear him. I've heard him on a couple of podcasts and stuff. And you could do a lot worse than get him in the building. Who's he working for?
Cardiff under 23s.
Yeah, that's tricky, isn't it? Because they're he might have his he might have his eyes on the job there if he's already in the building. Well, do you know what I mean? If he's already in the building there, then yeah. And I dare say Mr. Harris is under a little bit of pressure there already, isn't he? And especially with them being a parachute team. So I like him. I think he's really intelligent. But it looks like another club's already got the claws into him.
Teeing him up nicely. Transfer-wise, who do you think? Someone said earlier, I did put it on the screen. That's why I put it on, so I didn't forget his point. Again, as I say, I rely on you heavily for Championship information. Do you know any lower than that? Because obviously, the position we're in, we're not going to get anyone from league above or same division, really. So that could see us delve into the lower leagues. If we need, for example, a central midfielder who's got a bit of flair and can create, who do you think any players potentially out there could be available? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, the interesting ones, I don't know. It would just be so perfect. I don't know who would go. Ben Pearson for Preston. And there's a few players who've got 6 months left on their contract. Some really good players. Alex Mowat from Barnsley, Pearson and Brown, talking central midfielders from Preston, Bright Samuel, Barry Bannon. There's a lot of players whose contracts are up at the end of the season. My theory is, though, that once Watford sell Sarr or Bournemouth sell King or Norwich sell whoever, I think they might get pilfered by the parachute teams on like nice 18-month deals with big promotion bonuses. And that's the difficulty. You can't compete. So it may be that you do have to go lower. Obviously, there's a very good midfielder at Ipswich called Flynn Downs, who you could do a lot worse than. But you already pulled our pants down for Bielkowski, didn't you? So maybe we should close the door on that. But no, it's weird with League One. There he is. It's weird with League One because often literally anyone who's any good lasts about 3 months in the Championship team. Because all it takes is like $250,000, $500,000 or something. And I think Stoke are about to take one of your the rivals there, one of the Charlton wing backs, aren't they? So. There will be players down there, but it's always a bit of a gamble, isn't it? They either need a while to acclimatise to the Championship, don't they? Or someone's just put Dobra from Ipswich. Yeah, there are decent players down there, but you would think if someone was already playing in League One, good enough for the Championship, that every man and his dog would already be interested in bidding for them. So
I think when we had a chat pre-season, I said we'd finish about, I can't remember exactly what we said. Maybe I should have researched that. We sort of said improve on 8th. I said I'll take top 10. At the minute, we're sort of struggling. How do you think we can sort this out this season? And where do you think we will finish?
Well, the difficulty is if you actually look at some of those teams in the middle already above Millwall, there's some sense that a couple of them above you are underachieving as well. So you're kind of predicting, it's like if everyone goes higher, everyone stays where they are. If you do you know what I'm saying? Like, I would expect Preston and Blackburn to go up a place or two. You know, maybe Luton might drop a few places down, but like, you know, you talk about Millwall. Luton are very dynamic, got good home form. A lot of things you've said Millwall haven't got, Luton have this season, and it's just a bit of a shame because you'd want Millwall to be where Barnsley are. You know, they're upsetting that little area outside of the playoffs and possibly having a run. It's just up the top, Dan. It's just so hard because you got the three parachute year one teams all competent, so they're going to be so hard to displace. Then you got Brentford and Swansea who are still good. Then you got teams like Stoke and Cardiff who are, you know, well resourced. You've got Reading who are doing really well. Bristol City, they could go anywhere. You've got Blackburn with really good forwards. Barnsley playing well. So that's an entire top half of a table who you can all argue are probably going to finish above Millwall if things stay the same. So it does look like a 14th or something might work out. And I had a look. The games in hand. You got 2 games in hand.
Oh my!
Bournemouth away and Watford at home. That's helpful, isn't it?
We've got Watford away. Bournemouth away, and then we've got Huddersfield away. Before that, we've got Nottingham Forest away. Then we've got Watford at home, Cardiff away. So we've got 6 very, very difficult, very, very difficult fixtures coming up. I don't want to be too defeatist. I don't actually have a problem with our league position. I'm seeing people put in the comments as well that, you know, it's not the results, it's the manner of the results and performances, and just a severe lack of we're paying the £10 to watch it on iPhone, mate. And some days I'm sitting there doing streams, I'm apologising to people that they're sitting there because there's just nothing to talk about. Just nothing, just no excitement, no creative ideas.
But Dan, some of that is not Millwall's fault this season, because if you actually look down the league, and I've said this, there's a lot of pragmatic managers. There's Warnock, Paunovic at Reading's quite good without the ball. Have you seen Stoke play? They're pragmatic they're stiff as hell. Stoke, Harris at Cardiff, obviously, you know, can be a bit of a pragmatic one. Ainsworth, Warne, there's like Karanka, there's like 7 or 8 teams where they're quite happy to sit without the ball. So yeah, you will get games between Birmingham and Millwall, or Rotherham and Birmingham, or Cardiff and, you know, whoever. And there has been a few dull ones, and you kind of look and, you know, Norwich are open and free flowing, and Brentford, Swansea, but good defensively. It's not like that season where we had Norwich under Farker, Bielsa, Leeds, and Wilder, Sheffield United, and Grealish and Smith at Villa, where there's like, and West Brom with Barnes, Gale, and Rodriguez. There's, you know, where you got 5 teams. Well done on the blocking. You did a grand job there, Dan.
I want to make out they make out they're me, and I don't even say anything. It's not for me to get a block. It's just.
But do you know what I'm saying? It's not all Millwall that is making some of these games a little bit turgid at times.
Yeah, no, I do understand it, and that's just the thing for me. You know, going off subject a little bit, just football in general is, you know, you're younger than me, I'm sure, but growing up, you know, you had the 4-3s and the Liverpool v Man United games, and, you know, these London derbies, Arsenal, Spurs 5-4s, and high scoring, you know, Premier League classics and Championship games are high scoring. In this day and age, everyone just seems content to sit. Everyone just seems content to sit.
But Dan, the players are knackered, aren't they? And some teams are going out with 5 players injured and 2 coming back from COVID. And, you know, you can see sometimes when they're playing a midweek away game and it's the 4th consecutive week of Saturday midweek, where the manager's just saying, look, sit in, get a draw, get back home. Do you know what I mean?
It's not Steve Lee's. It's dire to watch. No heart, no passion, no desire. Terrible to watch as haggis. Very, very boring. And then that one that pops up today. I believe. Did he want to? Is he put himself forward for the vacant Fleetwood job? Cahill.
Yes, I think he has, hasn't he? So there you go. There's a manager for you, Joseph Barton.
Joe. Oh, well, actually, up and down. That even like he said he'd never play Ched Evans again, didn't he? And then all of a sudden he's resigned. I don't know what's going on there.
And Ched Evans has gone to Preston with Mollenby as well.
Oh yeah, but this Jason Mollenby, I couldn't believe that yesterday. Club allegedly, a record fee for him, and then I'll put a video out, and then 25 minutes after the video goes out, he signs for Preston on loan. Very strange one. Very, very strange indeed. Someone said, why don't me and you take over, Ben? We can't do any worse.
I'd just be so terrified. I've been in that stadium when Millwall aren't playing well, and I'm not thick-skinned enough to put up with the Millwall crowd. Maybe I'd do it in COVID times when you lot aren't in there, but nah, you guys don't tolerate ineptitude, do you?
No, but talking about that and the no fans, you got no fans. Do you get on board with that about, we're the 12th man at Millwall? It's something we've just got to learn to deal with, isn't it? We can't keep using it as an excuse, in my opinion.
And I think this season, the tight games where the technical teams, you look how many games, at Norwich or at Bournemouth or whatever have won late. I do think like a Luton or a Millwall or a QPR on a midweek game does miss it out a little bit. So
I'd laugh then because that actually is my son. This is Benjamin Bloom playing the piano.
There you go.
I was pretending to be him again, which would just be weird because it means they nicked everything that was his. But yeah, all right, mate. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. If there's anything else you want to talk about, if you want to face some questions, that's totally up to you. Or if you want to shoot off and have your dinner, you let me know. But I will just ask you before you go. You go to a lot of grounds. Be honest. Is Millwall that more edgy than other grounds, or do you think all fans of all clubs say that?
No, it is. It is. Yeah, no. As a neutral, it definitely. I always we've mentioned it before. When you lost at home to Fulham on that Friday night when you were really pushing for the playoffs, I've never heard anything like that. And the game kicked off, and you hit the bar after about 3 minutes, the Mill when that went out for a corner. Jesus Christ, that was frightening, absolutely frightening. So no, it's not a myth. It's not a myth at all.
It's not a myth. No, it's definitely true. So, right, okay, mate. Yeah, so I'll let you shoot off now. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. I know lots of Millwall fans know already, but you want to come over, subscribe to my channel. Benjamin Bloom football channel. We cover Championship. We do 5 teams in the Premier League, the ones that got promoted from the Championship as well. But we get loads of Millwall fans in. They are a little bit grumpy at the moment, Dan. I have to say they're not happy, my Millwall friends, at the moment. But the one good thing about Millwall subscribers is they know what they're talking about and they don't mince their words, which is, do you know what I mean? That works quite well. But no, thank you, everybody, and thank you for having me, Dan.
Colin just donated another tenner. Thank you very much, Colin. In fact,
how rich is Colin? He's loaded, isn't he? He's the only one in lockdown making any. He must work for Amazon, mustn't he? Is anyone making any money, eh?
So listen, super chats are open. I did say I'd split it 50-50 with Ben, but I will give you everything tonight, Ben. So there you go.
Oh no! You don't have to do that.
That's fine, mate. Sleep League's legend, a regular contributor, and a Patreon. Ben's also got a Patreon page. So yes, mate, your content is very, very strong. Very, very strong.
Patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. And as you can hear, I love to talk, but on Patreon, I do abridged short versions without waffling of my predictions and my reviews. So they're more like 6 minutes than 66 minutes, which they tend to be when we go live. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Steve and Colin.
There you go. This is Joe Holloway.
Thank you, Joe. That's very, very kind.
Oh, very kind. So much. Just tell me we're not going to get relegated and we're going to be fine, please.
Yeah, it's It's not gonna happen, honestly. And I will come back on here and apologise profusely if you're anywhere near. But
And I've
there's
got Ben's phone number on here if we do. So
yeah, I will change that if you do put that. No, I just look. Wickham are cooked, aren't they? It's going to be so hard for them to get out of it, and I think Rotherham have been going that way. So and like I said, would you rather be in Millwall shoes, QPR shoes, or Birmingham shoes at the moment?
It's the thing. I do reflect on that. I think I'm moaning that we're in trouble when you look at teams like Sheffield Wednesday and Derby. Do you know what I mean? Clubs of that size.
Well, and all it takes and there could be a really big club go if Sheffield Wednesday get the appointment wrong. I think Forest will be fine, won't they? And Rooney seems to be doing really well at Derby. But if Wednesday get the appointment wrong, then it could.
That wasn't my son. That's the guy. Again, there was someone making out that was my son.
Put David's comment up. That needs to go in the fake news sin bin. This is a £3,000 Korg Kronos, not a Casio keyboard.
You've got him. If I try and wind Ben up,
David.
Ipswich, I've got it now. Go for his musical instruments.
Yeah. Don't question the legitimacy of my instrument. There you go. No, again, it's got no speakers in it. Goes into expensive PA systems. So tremendous stuff. I do miss going to Millwall. It's a nice drive from where I am, and literally every time I go, some South Londoner comes up and talks to me, always in very entertaining fashion. So
you and me both, mate, missing it. It's terrible what's going on in a minute, but as I said, I try and keep our fan base going, and you're doing a brilliant job for our fan base and the rest of the championship, mate. So take me out off.
I'd go mad if we didn't. God, yeah.
But brilliant. Thanks as always, mate. Superb. Appreciate your comments, and I'm sure I'll sleep a lot better tonight knowing that you guaranteed the stream that we're not going to get relegated.
I've guaranteed it, and it's my fault if it happens now. Obviously, yeah. Are you staying on the stream, Dan?
No, I'm gonna shoot off. I've actually got to go and pick up who's keep playing. That guy making out he was my son. Randomly, I'm actually going to go and pick him up now. So
fake news. Thank you, everybody. In the chat, great following you got here, Dan.
Subscribe to Ben's channel, the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Get involved.
Absolutely.
Top man, mate. I'll speak to you over the weekend.
Yeah, take care, bro.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Bye bye.